call this meeting to order. Would everybody please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item on the agenda is proclamations, and I have three. Would like to just briefly mention, I did a couple last time, and I have three here. These proclamations I don't take lightly. This is one of the great opportunities for us to set a tone and a basic understanding with our community as to what are good activities, what are positive activities, and what activities are not going to be tolerated. So the first one on that we have listed is Child Abuse Prevention Month in Silver City. If anybody's able to accept that, will you come to the podium with me? I should have brought a bottle of water with me. It's going to be a little bit. Whereas we all have a responsibility as individuals, neighbors, community members, and citizens of Silver City to help create healthy, safe, and nurturing experiences for children. And whereas safe and healthy childhoods help produce confident and successful adults. And whereas child abuse and neglect often occurs when people find themselves in stressful situations without community resources and they do not know how to cope. And whereas the majority of child abuse cases stem from situations and conditions that are preventable in an engaged and supportive community, and whereas child abuse and neglect can be reduced by making sure every family has the support they need and deserve to raise their children in a healthy environment. And whereas it is recognized that no one person can do everything, but that everyone can do something, and together we can create change for the better. And whereas effective prevention programs succeed because of partnerships among agencies, schools, religious organizations, law enforcement agencies, and the business community. And whereas displaying a blue ribbon in April will serve as a positive reminder that together we can prevent child abuse and keep children safe. Now, therefore, I, Michael S. Moronis, Mayor of the Town of Silver City, do hereby proclaim April 2014 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in Silver City, and I urge all citizens to engage in activities that strengthen families and communities to provide the optimal environment for children to learn, grow, and thrive so that all children have the benefit of happy, healthy, and safe childhoods.
Thank you. On behalf of the children of Silver City, we thank you, Mayor Moronis, and the members of the council for this proclamation. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm good. Oh, wait, no, perfect. The next proclamation is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Whereas Sexual Assault Awareness Month is intended to draw attention to the fact that sexual violence is widespread and has public health implications for every community member, and whereas rape, sexual assault, and sexual harassment impact our community as seen by statistics indicating that 1 in 5 women and 1 in 71 men will be raped at some point in their lives. And whereas child sexual abuse prevention must be a priority to confront the reality that 1 in 6 boys and 1 in 4 girls will experience a sexual assault before the age of 18. And whereas young people experience heightened rates of sexual violence and youths ages 12 to 17 were 2.5 times as likely to be victims of rape or sexual assault. And whereas we must work together to educate our community about sexual violence, prevention, supporting survivors, and speaking out against harmful attitudes and actions. And whereas, with leadership, dedication, and encouragement, there is evidence that we can be successful in preventing sexual violence through increased education, awareness, and community involvement. And whereas the Town of Silver City Council strongly supports the efforts of national, state, and local partners, and of every citizen to actively engage in public and private efforts to prevent sexual violence, it's time for all of us to start conversations, take appropriate action, and support one another to create a safer environment for all. Now, therefore, I, Michael S. Moronis, Mayor of the Town of Silver City, join advocates and communities across the country in playing an active role to prevent sexual violence along with the United States government, the state of New Mexico. I do hereby proclaim April 2014 as Sexual Assault Awareness Month.
Thank you. Thank you. And on behalf of SAS and the survivors and their families in our community, we really would like to thank the council and you for recognizing the importance and the significance of this month and starting the conversation in our community to support them and prevent further victimization. Thank you.
We'll take that drink.
The last proclamation is Fair Housing Month. Whereas fair and equal housing is a right guaranteed to all Americans, and whereas the principle of fair and equal housing is not only a national law and policy, but a fundamental human entitlement, and whereas all citizens have the right to live where they choose within their financial means, and whereas people must not be denied housing because of race, color, religion, sex, national origin, handicap, or family status. And whereas the Town of Silver City acknowledges the importance of assuring fair and equal treatment to all citizens, and whereas the Town of Silver City will distribute small trash bags to customers and will display a fair housing exhibit at the City Hall Annex. Now therefore, I, Michael S. Moronis, Mayor of the Town of Silver City, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2014 as Fair Housing Month and urge all citizens to participate in appropriate activities to commemorate this event.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council, the community development staff from the town, and Habitat for Humanity Gila region will continue to support equal and fair housing for all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next item on the agenda is public input. First person on public input is Sylvia Reda with the Southwest Chicano Music Association. I remind you, you have 5 minutes. I'll give you a 1-minute signal as we approach that.
Yes. Do I have to push anything? Oh, thank you. I'm used to other microphones. Mayor and Council of the beautiful Town of Silver City, thank you for allowing me to speak this evening. On behalf of the Southwest Chicano Music Association, my name is Sylvia Reda, and I would like to just introduce a few of the things that we have this year, including 3 major events. Currently, we're working on a Cinco de Mayo Tardeada in downtown Silver City. We're looking at blocking of a couple of blocks, having a fajita cooking contest. I don't know if everybody here is familiar with the Visco fajita cooker, you know. Anyway, we're also going to have a car show and live music from 1 to 6. We're working with KUW The Mix and the Southwest Green Chamber of Commerce in order to promote and continue to preserve and educate people on Chicano music. Also, we're planning a 2-day Labor Day event, which will be called the Silver City Chicano Music Festival. We've been contacted already by several bands in and out of Silver City, from Arizona, from Texas as well, that would like to come to this area and participate. And we're working with some well-known artists and want to welcome them and want to welcome all the revenue and business to the Silver City, Grant County area. We are also working with the Southwest Green Chamber of Commerce for the New Mexico Tamal Fiesta y Más. And I would welcome at this time any questions from the council, mayor, from the public.
No questions.
I'm trying to be as brief as possible.
I understand.
You can contact us with any questions also at the Southwest Chicano, it's actually called swcma2014@gmail.com. And again, Mayor and Council, thank you for the few minutes you have afforded me today to be here.
Thank you. Next is Terry Timmy for Earth Day.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. I'm here today, I'm Terry Timmy on behalf of the Office of Sustainability, and I wanted to let everybody know about Earth Day, which is coming up on April 19th, Saturday, and it goes from 10 to 2 in Goff Park. There'll be a big celebration in the park with lots of music, food, booths, giving out lots of helpful information, and various organizations selling plants and other things of interest to residents of Silver City. At the same time, there'll be a electronic and recycling collection going on just south of Goff Park in the parking lot at 12th and Pope. And that'll include any sort of recycling that's normally taken in the Silver City recycling program, all the single-stream, paper, plastic, glass, tin, aluminum, all sorts of recyclables that you can normally recycle, or if you're outside the city limits, you can bring them to this event also. And the electronics is a wide description of what constitutes electronics that we'll take. Basically, our definition is anything that's plugged in with an electrical cord or is battery operated. We'll take and recycle through a company that is certified to completely destroy, like if you have a hard drive with a computer, all of your data is safely destroyed, so you don't need to worry about anything getting into unfair hands. The other thing we'll be taking is compact fluorescent light bulbs. We'll safely dispose of those, and cell phones. So please come by. It's completely free, Saturday, April 19th from 10 to 2. If anybody has any questions, they can contact me at 519-8987. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to take them at this time.
Mayor, Council, we'd also like to thank Freeport McMoran, who is helping sponsor the event as well.
Thank you, Alex. Yes, there's several sponsors. In addition to Freeport, P&M is providing some volunteer help, the Food Co-op, Gila Resources Information Project, Guadalupe Montessori School, and the GCEC, Gila Conservation Education Center. Thank you, John.
Next item on the agenda is council comments. Councilor Bersa?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to let everyone know that Comcast Cares Day is coming up on Saturday, April 26th, and that this is an opportunity to help support the Arts Council, the Memphis Region Arts Council, and to assist in making a new youth mural that will be at the rec center. So Saturday, April 26th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Silver City Rec Center. For every individual that comes and assists during the day, the Arts Council does get support from Comcast. And they'd like you to know that they really want kids to come help. It's a youth mural program. And to wear old paint clothes, because you'll be painting. They'll be collecting silhouettes of the children in our community and making flower tiles. So hopefully folks will be there. and I'll mention it again on our second council meeting. Thank you.
Councilor Emmett Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This Friday, we're going to, the Western Institute for Lifelong Learning and the Green Chamber are sponsoring a free event for the whole community. I think that we would agree that our sense of place is the thing that makes us want to be here. And the event is going to be at the Global Resource Center, lunch and learn at noon, with a world-renowned researcher, writer, and lecturer on sense of place and tourism. So I want to invite everyone to the lunch and learn, and if you get intrigued, stay for a workshop afterwards. This Friday, at the Global Resource Center, WNMU, at noon.
Councilor Ray?
Thank you, Mayor. I want to invite everybody, the elderly people, to participate, if possible, in the Senior Olympics this coming weekend, and they'll be held at here in Silver somewhere. If that helps any. Anyway, I have a comment about downtown parking, if I may. I know that we don't have parking downtown, but let me give you a little bit of history of when I was younger. When I was young, I've lived here all my life in Silver. Downtown did not have parking. We used to walk. People used to walk all over the place. And now that I'm older, there's more parking downtown than what there was when I was young. I believe that people should walk downtown, anybody, and park wherever you can park. I know it's a hassle for some people, but let's try to be humane about it. Thank you.
Councilor Kano?
Thank you, Mayor. As the mayor just proclaimed, April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and in conjunction with that, the Silver Regional Sexual Assault Support Services, otherwise known as SAS, are having a production of the Vagina Monologues that takes place this weekend, April 11th and 12th at 7 o'clock, and April 13th at 2 o'clock at the Global Resource Center. The price is $10 for community members and $5 for students, and all of that money goes back to the Sexual Assault Support Services. Tickets can be picked up at Alato Gelato, the Social Sciences Department, or the SAS office, or at the door if you prefer. And I would just recommend that everyone go out and support this because it's a very important organization that's doing a lot of really good work for our community. Thank you.
Mayor, just for Councilor Reyes, to help them out a little bit, the Senior Olympics opening ceremonies is at Fox Field at 10 o'clock. Is it 9? Is it 10 or 9? You're correct, it's 9. It's 9 o'clock at Fox Field for the opening ceremonies.
On Saturday?
Saturday, 9 o'clock. I have no comments. Does anybody need round two?
Yes, sir.
Moving on, any changes to the agenda?
Yes, sir.
Moving to approval of minutes.
Mayor.
Councilor Bedison.
I move to approve the minutes of the regular town council meeting of March 25th, 2014.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes for the regular meeting of March 25th, 2014. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is reports. Public Works Department?
Mayor, Council, what I'd like to do today is just give you a little bit of information on the Public Works Department. The Public Works Department is made up of several divisions that we take care of. A lot of these divisions some are smaller, some are bigger, but they're all very important. Part of Public Works is the cemetery, the recreation center, the city shop, the sanitation division, the parks, and the streets division, plus the administration office. The administration office is basically the headquarters of the Public Works Department. Basically, we take care of most of the budgetary information, helping each division purchase items that they need on a day-to-day basis, POs, we take care of credit cards, we answer all calls, there, and we distribute them to the correct department that it's supposed to go to, and we monitor to make sure that things are getting done as requests are coming into the office. With that, I'm just going to go in alphabetical order down on each division within the Public Works office. The next one would be the cemetery. The cemetery is located on Memory Lane, and basically we have the responsibility of maintaining about 31 acres out there. Basically, we have the responsibility of opening and closing all graves there. We do a lot of the maintenance out there. We do take care of weed eating, we do take care of weeds, we trimming trees, disposing of dead trees, and also some beautification. Recently, we just put in some new trees on the west side of the cemetery, just to try to make it look a little bit better, since we have taken down quite a few of the old trees that have died. So with that, I'll continue. I think Alex passed out a handout, and there's a lot more detail in the handout, and along the way, I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have, or at a later time. With that, I'll continue. Next, we have the city shop. The city shop is made up of 3 mechanics and a supervisor. These guys really do work really hard. They are responsible for over 300 pieces of equipment and vehicles. Our main function there is to make sure that anything that comes in there is repaired in a quick manner, and that we take it out and make it available to those departments and divisions that, need them for their day-to-day functions. We are one man short there, but these guys have found a way to get these things done and get the equipment out as quickly as we could. Next, I have the Parks Department. The Parks Department is a wonderful department. I actually enjoy it very much. Green grass, fresh air, really nice. I have the honor of working with these guys on a day-to-day basis. We're in the middle of finishing Phase 2 at Scott Park. What we're doing is we're finishing the construction of lighting and netting and a little bit of sidewalk out there. We still do have one more phase after that. I know we've secured some of the funding for it, but I'm not sure if we have the entire amount. As part of the Parks Departments, we do run 15 different parks and grounds within that division. We have Golf Park, Penny Park, Skate Park, Capilla Park, Cherry Hills, and other numerous parks that we're responsible for. Each one of these parks we take special pride in. We're trying to make sure that our grass is green, things are blooming, all equipment is taken care of. We make sure that all the nuts and bolts are tightened, and that they're as safe as possible.
After each section, I'm going to help you with the Parks Department. He was talking about the phases of the Scott Park fields. We did receive, I believe it was $115,000 for the third phase, the concession and bathroom area. I am in the process of working on a loan that is going to secure the remaining balance of that, as well as other projects that we have in the works with different funding sources. And I'm talking about this because we're working with budget and stuff, so you know what's coming down the pipe.
I guess I'll continue. As part of the Parks Department, one of the biggest functions that we have is working with a lot of different organizations within the town. We have really big events, really nice events, and we're getting ready for that season right now. Tour de Gila is just around the corner. After that will be the Blues Festival, 4th of July, and we have numerous fiestas and things just happening in our parks. So we're actually headed for a good time of the year there. We're actually trying to make the park look as nice as we can. We just gave it a facelift. We did a little bit of painting out there. We did work with a local youth group, and they helped us repaint the bathrooms and do some other stuff in the park. So we're hoping that everybody enjoys that this year. Moving on, I'll move on to the pool. The pool is located on Silver Street, and basically it's a short season, but it's a really good season. Basically this year we're looking at opening the pool right after Memorial Day, and we're hoping to keep it open till probably the end of August. All that is based on the availability of guards. We do have swim lessons scheduled this year. We usually have 2 sessions per year. We are going to try to keep costs as low as we possibly can. But one of the main things that we're going to be needing at the pool, hopefully in the near future, is a new liner. The last time we put in the liner was installed in 1998. So we've had it for a while, and I'm hoping that, the next budgetary year or sooner, we can get some money and be able to do that. With that, I'll move on to the recreation center. In Public Works, we have quite a bit of recreation. The recreation center is actually a really fun place. Mike does a wonderful job over there. We only have 3 counselors, a secretary, and the supervisor over there, so we're limited to the amount of kids that we can have in our program. That's one thing that, we would like to discuss with the managers, possibly getting some additional help, so we could bring in some additional kids. We always do have a waiting list at the recreation center, and we like to get some more of those kids in there to enjoy some of the stuff that they do. They do a lot of stuff. They go hiking, they go biking, they go to the parks, they play ball, they go to movies, they do bowling. Mike does a really good job over there. We do mainly tailor to ages 6 through 12 there, but there is a lot of activities for even adults there. There's programs such as Zumba, Tai Chi, and some other stuff there for adults at the after hours. Many of the local, like basketball groups, do use the rec center for practice and things of that nature.
Almost every one of the divisions that Peter's been talking about are solely funded through the general fund, which the primary source of revenue that comes into the general fund comes from gross receipts taxes. One thing that we need to look at is that the gross receipts tax this year has been approximately 4.8% below levels of last year, and so we have actually had to hold off on the filling of some positions, not just in Public Works but in other departments as well. So we'll keep this in mind as we work through the presentations.
Okay, moving on, I'll move on to our sanitation department, and actually sanitation is very important for health and safety, or for health reasons. Sanitation department, we went automated about 5 or 6 years ago, and it's really been really good. It's been a really good thing for us. We've been able to do a really better job as far as pickup and keeping the town as clean as we possibly can. The old system, there was a lot of bags that would get torn and trash would fly all over the place, and we were a little dirtier community, and I'm hoping that that's changed a little bit. With these new cart systems that we've gone to, I feel it's a cleaner system, we're more efficient. We have a total of almost 4,000 residential accounts that we pick up, and about 450 commercial accounts that we have. And so basically on a weekly basis, we pick up something about 800, close to 900 commercial accounts, and the 4,000 residential. So we do that on a weekly basis. We offer services from Monday through Friday. We do a branch and bulky and a yard waste pickup, but we actually don't do it through our sanitation department. We actually do it through our street department. A lot of people that contact the office want the service, which we'll take it down and we'll get it done on a day-to-day basis, but it's the wrong department. It's usually the street department that we have picked that up instead of our sanitation department. And the last department, which I believe...
The sanitation department is funded solely through landfill collection that you can have in your water bill. But on top of that, the landfill fees also do pay for the recycling services that we contract through the Southwest Solid Waste Authority for.
With the sanitation department, we also do the monitoring of the old landfill with that budget. Per the New Mexico Environment Department, we have to do biannual monitoring for methane and for groundwater there, so we also do that. We take care of that through the sanitation department. Our last department is probably the biggest one in Public Works, and probably has the most needs, and is probably where we need the most help at as far as with funding and budgetary. That would be in the street department. We have a small department. It's based, we have 8 individuals that take care of about 71 lane miles of roads, to include curb and gutters, sidewalks, easements, things of that nature. These guys on a day-to-day basis, they fix utility breaks, we pour concrete, we pour curb and gutters, we pour sidewalks. We can't do really big sections because of budgetary reasons, but we're always keeping busy in that department, fixing signs, replacing signs. These guys stay real busy. We do a lot of road repairs. It doesn't seem like they're very noticeable, but they're all over town. With that department, we also do a lot of grant writing in that department. On the last page, you'll see a list of projects there. This year, we've submitted applications for MAP funding, and that would be for College Avenue Phase 2, from Cooper to B. We've also submitted an application for the Colonias Infrastructure Fund, and that would be for Silver Street, and that was from Pine Street to Lamb. We also did put in, and I just found out that we were awarded $80,000, and that's for co-op, and that's for a chip seal project for next year. There's a list of streets that we'll be doing there. We also did just recently get awarded TAP funds, which is a brand-new source of funding from the Department of Transportation, and it's for enhancement projects, which basically is sidewalks, curb and gutter, ADA ramps, drive paths, things of that nature. And we did get funded for a project on Cooper Street at El Grito. What we're going to be doing is putting a little bit of sidewalks on that side of the street, and we're also going to be doing some repairs on a wall that is falling down, and it may cause some later structural problems to the road if we don't take care of it. I believe that I think there's only one more project in there, and it's a project that I like to get started. We've been looking at getting some funding for some enhancement improvements on 32nd Street, which are the sidewalks, and we've introduced it to the state. We're trying to get it on the STIP, but we haven't been successful as of yet. But I feel it's one of those projects that there's always little pots of money that pop up, and if we're ready, and if we would have our design and stuff ready, we may have a chance to move that forward a little quicker. But with that, I think I've talked enough.
I want to talk a little bit about the streets department. Currently, the streets department is basically funded through two sources of funds. One is the general fund. That's where the personnel costs are covered through, and they have had to hold off on some temporary hires this year because of the decrease in the amount of gross receipts taxes. But their primary source of maintenance funding comes from gas tax. When I first started, we were bringing in around $220,000 worth of gas tax. Since in the last 14 years, we've been consistently going backwards because we only receive 2 cents per gallon. We don't get a percentage, which would be nice, but we only get 2 cents per gallon. So as people start to drive less or get more efficient vehicles, the number of gallons sold in the community has gone down. So the funds available for maintenance has continued to progressively go down almost every year. So this year we have some opportunities that we're going to be seeing. One is we will be paying off our GEO bonds that were issued in 1995 for some water projects. GEO bonds are paid with property taxes. Currently, there's a 0.6 mills that has been levied since 1995. Well, it's gone up and down a little bit. The state adjusts it so we could pay our debt service, but it currently is 0.6 mills. And what I would like to recommend that we do is we need to diversify our revenue sources for the streets department so we can get some additional street maintenance, as well as provide some funding for some equipment, for plan and design to get other projects ready so that we're project shovel ready for future grants. So what I would like to do is, rather than letting that 0.6 mills go away, is turn around and levy it under our operating mill levies. So it is not basically a tax increase. It'll just keep the property taxes exactly the same as they are right now. Also on top of that,
some of you have heard it less than others, but, with the hold harmless issue going on with gross receipts taxes, what we've been focusing on is taking steps to move all of the gross receipts tax increments that we have dedicated, move them into the general fund in some form. We have an eighth of a percent that is actually currently dedicated to the water sewer fund, basically subsidizing water rates, that I would like to recommend and take at least half of that and dedicate that on top of the property tax and gas tax into what we would probably call a street maintenance or something like that. So that there is more funds available, different funding sources. You've got gas tax that is continually going down. Property tax valuations are usually on the up curve, and gross receipts taxes are up and down all the time. So we've got much more diversified, keeping the revenue sources so we can get some more work done on our streets, because that's the things that, other than police and fire, we probably get the most comments about within our community. And we would like to get more work done with the staff that's been very progressive and trying to do the best they can with the very limited resources that they've had available to them. So taking these three different combination of these three different sources of revenue, we'd probably go from about 170 with gas tax to probably close to $500,000, and that would be with no property tax increase. No rate increase. It would just be readjustment of revenues, and instead of paying debt service with the property tax, we'd be fixing roads. Instead of subsidizing water rates, we would be fixing roads. So that's a recommendation that I'm going to bring forth when I bring the preliminary budget to you. Just a quick comment and ask for clarification. Roads are very expensive, and it's been a financial burden and a budgetary burden for a long time. Can you help explain and clarify how the dynamic of what's owned by the state and fixed by the state, i.e. Silver Heights and Hudson, because we always get questioned, why are we always fixing those streets and not our other streets? Can you just explain the dynamic of how that's the state doing that and not us?
Yes, that's basically the state. They're the first line. Most of the funds that come for maintenance or highway repairs and all that comes from the federal government. And then there's a funding formula that splits out how much the state keeps for federal and state highways throughout New Mexico, and then what portions they have for other municipal arterials, co-op, different types of other funding sources. The smallest piece comes to the municipality. Of course, the most gets, the largest portion comes to the state highway portion, which is 180 and 90 throughout town.
And also New Mexico 15, which is through South Dakota. Those are the three major thoroughfares through the town of Silver City, and they're all owned by the state or the NMDOT. We don't usually do too much maintenance on those. What we do, though, is we do take care of things that are quick and fast. Occasionally we have potholes that pop up, and we can repair them pretty quickly. A lot of the times we'll contact the state, and it'll take them a while to get over here, since they're also limited in the amount of personnel that they have. So we'll take care of small stuff for that. But all the big stuff, as far as repaving, new sidewalk stuff like that, has been projects through the NMDOT.
Also, sort of one of, Silver City, because of our topography, it's very expensive to replace and maintain a street. But what really adds to the cost of a project is fixing the drainage. Because we're an old community, and when the streets were initially installed or built, a lot of times the drainage wasn't installed properly. They drained something into somebody's front yard, those types of things that we have to correct. And it's decreased, back when we did
Brewer Hill project, the last one we did, how many blocks did we get in that last project?
7 blocks.
Yeah, we got 7 blocks with the CDBG project, about $500,000. Now, we get, for $500,000, we probably get 4 if we're lucky. So that's how much the cost of the streets and everything has changed. But the grant size is still $500,000. And so, you know, we're having to do multiple phases to complete projects. A project that used to take 1 year, now is taking 2 to 3 years to get done, through those grant fundings. And of course, you know, our maintenance funds have gone down, and he still has less money to maintain the same amount of streets. And so that's what we're trying to fix this year.
Any other questions for Peter?
I do.
Councilor Raymond Smith?
Thank you. I'm really pleased to see that Little Walnut is on this list. That was a big issue when I was out campaigning. Can you give me a kind of an idea when these street projects that are part of this cooperative agreement program are going to start?
The first one on this was our CDBG project, and we're getting ready to submit the application. Later tonight, we'll be asking for your support in the submission of an application which is due May 16th. What usually happens with those is, we usually hear in about July, if we were awarded, and it usually takes us about 3 months to turn around the design and get ready for construction. So if we were awarded funds for CDBG, we would see a project probably November, starting around November. MAP, we should be hearing at any time, usually by June, we hear word on that. Our plans are about 80% complete for College Avenue, so we can turn that around pretty quickly. I would think that probably, if we would hear word, based on the time that we would get our agreement from the state, probably about 3 to 4 months we could start construction. Same thing also with the Colonias infrastructure funding. We should be hearing word on that sometime in the next month or two. And we also, like College Avenue, have those plans around 75-80% complete. We are going to be doing a chip sealing project this year. It's not the same streets that are on the list right there. It's a different set of streets for this year, and we'll be doing that the week of August 4th through August 8th. The TAP money for the sidewalks on Cooper Street, the construction money, we've gotten that already awarded also, but that's not going to come to us till FY 15-16.
So there's a lot of planning, and it kind of depends.
Right,
on the timing.
right.
I have one other, hopefully quick question. So you noted that people in neighborhoods who do tree trimming or bush trimming and stuff can call is it the street department?
They can just contact the Public Works Office.
Public Works Office.
388-4640.
The reason I'm asking is because in March, the Neighborhood Alliance co-sponsored this large symposium on fire readiness and really encouraged neighborhoods to make defensible space, which a lot of the time meant clipping things and trimming trees. Is that biomass chipped and turned into mulch, or, I'm just wondering if it's going to become a bigger project.
I don't know if it's done all the time, but I do know that the landfill has borrowed the town's chipper on a number of occasions, and they chip all the brush that goes out there. And what they do is they make it available to the residents, but it's on a first-come, first-service kind of basis.
Great information.
The fire department is also working with different neighborhoods. They'll be using the same chipper to do neighborhoods. People have staging areas, and then everybody take their material out there and then try to get it all chipped in that area, so that people can come and pick up the mulch.
That's great. So that's what the fire department, so a neighborhood might get organized and then contact the fire department and work together.
Tim is working on it, and he's going to schedule this with Peter, and we're trying to get some stuff worked with the county as well.
Thanks so much.
Because most of the defensible space that you're talking about is within the county. But
My neighborhood too.
so there are neighborhoods within the city limits that really needs to be done, and we'll try to focus on those areas and assist, in whatever ways that we can.
That's great, that's great information. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any other questions? Thank you, Peter. Any other staff reports? Mr. Brown? From the police department? Peter Russell, is any staff reports? Are we ready to move on, or?
Yes.
Next item on the agenda is a public hearing. Approval, disapproval of number SD 14-01, a request for preliminary plat approval to allow a new manufactured home park to be created at 2180 32nd Street Bypass. The applicant is Dwayne Rigg of Rigg Properties LLC, the property owner. The town council will serve as the hearing board, and I, as mayor, will be the presiding officer. Have any of the members of this hearing board had ex parte discussions with any person regarding the subject matter of this hearing, or had any communications from any party to this case? No, sir. You are all qualified. Will all parties and witnesses intending to testify, including those staff members who intend to present testimony or who will be available for questioning, please rise and come to the podium to be sworn in by the town clerk. If you have not been sworn in, you will not be permitted to testify or otherwise participate in this hearing.
Raise your right hand and state your name after you say aye. I,
Peter Russell,
do solemnly swear or affirm.
do solemnly swear or affirm
That the testimony I am about to give.
that the testimony I am about to give
In the matter before this council.
in the matter before this council
Is the truth, the whole truth.
is the truth, the whole truth,
And nothing but the truth.
and nothing but the truth,
Under penalty of perjury.
under penalty of perjury.
And I'll need your signature, please. Is that everyone? Did everybody sign? You can then sign, please. Everybody? Okay, thanks.
The hearing will be conducted as follows. The town staff shall present a brief synopsis of the application based on the application or actions taken by the director, by P&Z's commission, or by town staff. Then the applicant shall present their case. Next will come witnesses in support of the applicant's case. The applicant, staff, or witnesses may then be questioned by the hearing board. The presiding officer will then ask the applicant if that concludes its case in chief, and states that the proponent and its witnesses will remain available to be further questioned by the hearing board, by staff, or by opponents to the application. Following the close of the applicant's case, witnesses in opposition to the applicant's case shall be permitted to testify, during the course of which the witness may address questions to any previous witness, but such questions shall be made through the presiding officer. The presiding officer shall have the sole discretion in directing the question for response, considering whether the question is relevant, is cumulative to other testimony, or is otherwise inappropriate. At the close of testimony against the application, the presiding officer asks the applicant, is there anything else you wish to be reflected in the record? Town staff, please present your brief synopsis of this application.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We have a brief presentation for you this evening, and we also have several documents that are for review. You've received some in your packets, and we have additional documents if you would like to review them. during or after the hearing. And, give me just 1 second while everything warms up. This is a new manufactured housing project at 32nd Street Bypass. And as April is Fair Housing Month, I think today is an appropriate time for this hearing. The Planning and Zoning Commission has already heard this case in March, and this is a map of the area that the engineer has provided, that she also has on a board that you'll be able to look at closer up when she has her presentation. I would like to show you the size of this file. I think this is a new kind of case that hasn't come before the council in quite a while. And just to show you the large amount of preparation that has gone into this planning, these are some of the engineering reports here that I have. These are all in the file. They've done sewer, drainage, traffic reports, all of those kind of things. So it gives you some idea of the research, this documentation that goes into these kind of projects. Okay, so this is subdivision 14-01. It is a preliminary plat approval, which means that this will also come back to you as a final plat approval. After tonight's meeting, then we will meet with the rigs, go over the final plat requirements that are in the land use code, and that will come before you again in a future hearing. There's one important distinction that I'd like to make with the definition. This is a manufactured home park. It is not a manufactured home subdivision. There are two different definitions in your land use code, and this has to be 1 acre in size. That's a very important part and requirement, and it also, the homes are leased or rented, but they are not sold. The rigs will remain the owner of this entire property, and they will only rent the homes that are on the parcel. They will be the owner and maintain them. So that's an important distinction in the definition that I would like to let you know about. This is a definition of our Residential C manufactured home park and attached housing district. This is made for higher density developments, and it's also made and created for manufactured home residential developments in the town of Silver City. This is a zoning map, and you have one in your packet also. There are 3 areas of the town. It's a brown color. This one, the Riggs property, which is right here, and then where Shady Groves Park is on Canal Street. Those are the 3 areas of the town that are currently zoned Residential C. So those are the areas that these developments at this time may occur in. Of course, within a future rezoning, property owner may go forward with that request, but at this time, with the current zoning, those are the 3 areas that these may be developed in. This is a zoom version of that same map. This is the Riggs property, the brown area. It shows that it is Residential C. The blue is Residential B. The yellow is Residential A. And this red is Commercial. That gives you some idea of the surrounding properties and the size also of the property that is in question. The comprehensive plan actually has goals listed in the housing and land use goal categories that apply to this case directly. Land use goal number 1.2 for higher density development encourages infill and developing vacant land within the town boundaries for higher density housing areas and to manage growth so that the town doesn't just keep spreading, that we are using the property within the town, and it encourages infill. It also specifies in goal number 7.4 of the land use section to develop site standards and determine appropriate location for manufactured home development. And I believe that that's what this case has done. The property is zoned correctly. for this. It is furthering the goals of the Land Use Code. It's also furthering the goals of the comprehensive plan by creating affordable housing for working families, which is a very important goal of both the Land Use Code and the comprehensive plan. One of the reasons that this is provided you with so much information is that manufactured home parks have to be approved in the same manner that a subdivision would be. So that often creates the misconception that this is a subdivision, but it is one owner of one parcel of land, and the homes will be rented. So I would really like to make that distinction, that these aren't going to be sold off. It's not going to be 18 lots. It's one parcel of property, and it just has to meet the same standards that the subdivisions have to meet. The proposed site does meet the 1 acre requirement. It's 2.859 acres more or less. The homes will be owned by Rig Properties LLC and rented to tenants. And the town will also have the control of issuing moving permits for any manufactured home that will be moved onto the property. Anytime anyone moves any manufactured home into the town of Silver City, it has to be approved through our department and get a moving permit. So before those moving permits would be issued, the site has to be completed with the water and sewer and things like that. And then that's also going to be specified in the final plat that you will be seeing also. This is this takes away the zoning, and it just shows the property and the residential character of the neighborhood. We've had some people come to the office that live right over here, and their correspondence is in your packet there in support of the proposal. We've had some property owners that have some property right here that have contacted the Webbers. They're also in support of the project. We have, at the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, we've had the gentleman that owns this property who came and spoke to the Riggs, who had some concerns about drainage issues, and he spoke to the floodplain engineer and the Webbers and had his questions answered. And we've had a letter from Mr. Spengler, which his property, a lot of it isn't on your map, but that's also included in your packet, and the correspondence from the Webbers and the Community Development Department is also included, so that you have some kind of an idea of the feedback that we've had so far. If you're not familiar with the area, this is the existing driveway onto the property, and you're looking at 32nd Street bypass right here, and then there's PA Road, which is also Highway 15, as Mr. Pena stated. This is facing east from the subject property. Over the hill, there's some vacant property, and then the ball fields. This is the existing manufactured home that is on the property. The Riggs would like to leave that there and use it as a manager's residence, so there will be a manager on site on the property. This is just a different view of the property, and you'll see that there's a lot of fill dirt over here that will be redistributed and regraded on the property. In making your decision regarding the approval of a subdivision, the Planning and Zoning Commission and the Town Council shall consider the following factors, and I will read these verbatim into the record for you so that you don't have to try to repeat them in your motion. Whether the proposed subdivision furthers the goals and policies of the town's comprehensive plan, whether the proposed subdivision complies with the standards and design requirements of this land use code, whether the proposed subdivision provides a water supply system that is sufficient in terms of quantity, dependability, and quality to provide an appropriate supply of water for the type of subdivision proposed, and whether the proposed subdivision has made adequate provision for sewage disposal which complies with federal, state, and local laws and regulations, and whether the proposed subdivision is compatible with the soil, topography, drainage, and other natural features and physical conditions of the site, and whether the proposed subdivider has the financial ability to complete the proposed subdivision in accordance with all applicable federal, state, and local laws and regulations. After their hearing on March 4th, 2014, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval based on the above criteria. And I'm sure that you will have a lot of questions. There's a lot of information presented. Is there a slide that you would like me to leave on, or would you like me to turn the projector off for questions?
Would you like it off, or? Let's do it off. Absolutely. Any questions from the hearing board? Councilor Raymond Smith?
Thank you for that clarification. I do have some questions about the town comprehensive plan. And I know that you cited that infill and affordable housing were two components that this project might address. But there are some other things that I really wonder about. In brief, the town comprehensive plan reflects on how we want our town to look, feel, and develop in the future. One of the goals in the comprehensive plan is, I believe, I'm quoting here, to sustain and encourage the highest quality development within the town limits and the extraterritorial zone. Other goals are to develop a diverse and sustainable regional economy and to protect Silver City's town feel and to shape new growth to promote walkable, livable neighborhoods and districts. I know that in that plan there was a fair amount of discussion about what was called the 32nd Street neighborhood. And I'm wondering if, since I didn't see it in your report, if you had any analysis or recommendations or review about how those wanting the town to sustain and encourage the highest quality development and the idea of a neighborhood, including especially a walkable neighborhood, was something that was in that plan, if that's included in your analysis. Peter's up.
Or Jamie?
I think that it is, because we have the lighting plan, we have the sewer plan. It is a neighborhood within itself. It's an affordable, safe housing area, and it is a neighborhood. It will have landscaping, it will have everything that any neighborhood would have, and yet it will be affordable for young families, people just starting out in business. It is a very vital and important part of Silver City's character to have a variety of housing. And I think the engineering reports and the thought that the Riggs have put into this definitely meets that. His home is across the street, and I'm sure he'll be able to give you a little more information on that. They're longtime residents of Silver City, and they've really given some thought into what they would like to create as a neighborhood. And I think you'll see that with the open space. They've exceeded the 15% requirement. They've really put a lot of thought into making it's a nice neighborhood. And it's not that far from Stout Elementary School. It's not that far from the high school. It's close to medical care. Corey Caminos runs through the area. It's not far from shopping. So I think they've really put a lot of thought, and it really does meet those criteria.
So now you mentioned Corey Caminos, and that was actually one of my questions, was about transportation in and out of this proposed park. But you're saying that, do you think that this park is going to be walkable to other components of the neighborhood, or do you see the proposal as being the neighborhood itself?
I think it's walkable to other areas. And Mr. Russell, do you have any other input?
That was an emphasis in the comprehensive plan, was walkability and that use of bicycles.
Right. I think that walkability is an important value, and I know that when Mr. Brown was talking earlier about road repair, he was also including sidewalks as, part of the road work. The park itself has sidewalks on both sides of the cul-de-sac that serves the residences, and the sidewalks emerge out onto the 32nd Street right-of-way. The effort to increase walkability throughout the community is kind of an incremental effort. You heard Mr. Pena talk about trying to get some funding for sidewalks on 32nd Street, and of course this is, off of 32nd Street. I think that in terms of being able to, when you establish a walkability score, the fact that there are these major playing fields just to the east, the fact that the hospital is just to the west, there's also the schools themselves, and the swimming pool is quite close. I mean, it's certainly closer to this than my house is. So I think that the comprehensive plan establishes a vision and a series of goals to work towards, but they can't all happen at once. And I think the important thing is, as we incrementally address development, to assure ourselves that the infrastructure that supports not only this community, but that has the ability to be integrated with that larger vision, is in fact true. And I think that is the case here.
Okay, to continue? Thank you very much. I have a few other questions that I think are for your department, but you can, redirect me if they're not. One of the things that I'm interested in is, I know that manufactured housing is under the auspices of the Housing and Urban Development Code, and so that the code requirements are put on the manufacturing facility. But my understanding is that in this particular proposed park, that even though it's called a new manufactured housing park, it's not necessarily new manufactured housing. And in fact, it could be 1980 single-wide, what we might otherwise call trailers or mobile homes, in varying conditions, can be moved in, placed on the pads, and then that's what's there. I'm just really wondering, in terms of the safety of our citizens, is there any kind of requirements for real occupancy? Because I know that if you buy from a dealer, they assure that they're occupiable, but if you buy from an individual, not necessarily so. So I was wondering if the moving permit or any other kind of things would make sure that indeed they were safe, or if that is entirely the landlord's responsibility.
So the regulatory oversight that the town has in this instance is to assure that the mobile home has a HUD seal. And the HUD seal is a certain construction standard that you alluded to, and I think the HUD, all manufactured housing since 1976 has the HUD seal. I think the term mobile home is now reserved, as I learned through the land use code revision, for manufactured houses that were constructed before 1976. The town doesn't have a rental maintenance function that has inspectors go out and look at the quality of rental housing. Some communities do, we don't. And so the condition of a mobile home or the condition of a residence, a site-built residence, is strictly a contractual relationship between the tenant and the owner, barring some issues around fire marshal consultation. You might want to, in the testimony of the owner of the property, address this question to see how they might deal with it. But in terms of the regulations, there is no special oversight other than the assurance of the HUD seal, whether the mobile home was located in an area zoned suitable for mobile homes, and then there's some setback requirements.
Thank you. I understand that if an apartment building were to be built, then of course there'd have to be inspection or remodeled. But in this instance, an entire 16-unit community is going to be built, but we don't have any requirements.
There is it's the city that doesn't have the oversight. There is a state oversight, so the Construction Industries Division has an inspector. That's tied to assuring that the mobile home is established securely and safely. Just as we don't do the electrical inspections or the plumbing inspections, we don't do those inspections either.
Thank you. I think I got one more question, and I shall be quiet for a little while. And that question has to do with comprehensive plan, goals about community economic development. And so, back to the comprehensive plan, that's part of the thing, is developing a diverse and sustainable regional economy is part of that goal of the planning and all of this work. And some simple back-of-the-envelope calculations indicate to me that this proposed manufacturing home rental park can be quite lucrative for the developer. But do we have any ideas how it's going to contribute to our community economic development in terms of well-paying jobs, improving the gross receipt tax base, or improving the property tax base?
So I think that there's not a study done as part of the application. It's not a requirement of the application, but in addressing the question in a larger context, I think worker housing in town is really significant and important, significant as an issue. I know that when you're looking at, and there was just an article, I think it was in the New York Times, about housing for families with children. And the number of families that have children that fall below the median income in an area is quite large. So I think it's really important to ensure that we do have not just the attorneys or planners or government managers or business owners, but that the people that are doing the labor in the community have a place that's safe for them, and that it's safe for their families, and that it's affordable to them. One of the large problems in Silver City is that the stock of housing that's inexpensive is in really poor condition. And it's very expensive to improve that condition. I know that you've heard from Mike Ely about his projects for doing rehabilitation. His rehabilitation projects are especially expensive because you have to bring them up to the full code. You can't just fix the roof. You have to make sure that the insulation is okay and the wiring's okay. So I think that providing a diverse range of housing costs serves the town well by ensuring that the people that are fulfilling some of those lower paying jobs don't have to commute miles. In some places it's different counties, but that we provide for them here. So I think that that's how that fits into the larger economic idea that you were talking about.
Thank you. That actually does generate one more question, so I apologize here. Yes, in March 2014, there was an article in the New York Times about Mobile Home University, which is a series of seminars on this very thing, developing what they call the mobile home parks, the difference, that's what they still call them. And the seminar leader was Frank Rolfe, who is a mobile home park magnate. And his partner investors and he made what he calls a contrarian bet on poorer America, because indeed there's a huge population of the working poor, and we do as as a society, have some obligation to really make sure that there is good and fair housing. My concern is that the housing that gets moved in should be of a better quality than some of that stock that's already around, and I don't know that there's really any assurance. I myself have seen manufactured homes that had the HUD seal that were just awful inside. And so that's really one of my major concerns.
I think the easiest way to address that is to pass an ordinance that you can't move mobile home, manufactured housing into a community that's older than a certain date, although that doesn't guarantee that the maintenance has been performed correctly. I think that another thing is to set up some kind of rental inspection program so that renters would have a recourse, and that someone, say from the building department, would then go and inspect a rental to ensure, the quality of the construction or the safety, or that, there's a secondary exit, or there's smoke alarms or things like that. Those are pretty expensive programs, however, so the community, the council would have to really decide that this was a need that could only be met through such an action. The other thing, of course, is to encourage private investment in better standards. I know that, I believe that not many apartment houses are built in Silver City. It's very expensive to build new ones. And the ones that are getting built are a subsidized housing. Typically, that's not universally true. And so it means that the supply of those houses is not very large. And the truth is that in New Mexico especially, manufactured housing comprises one of the largest components of new housing or alternative housing or affordable housing.
Thank you, Mr. Russell.
Any other questions for staff? Robert?
A couple questions on the plat. I think we talked about this, there's about a half an inch of easement missing, equal to, I don't know what the scale is, but will that be resolved before the final plat?
Yes, we would recommend that you make it a condition of the final plat, and we've already spoken about it with the designers, the engineers working on it. It's just an oversight, and they will extend the easement to the edge of the 32nd Street right-of-way.
And the second question is that, you see there's going to be, it's one parcel with 15 meters.
Yes.
Is the applicant aware that each meter will have to, that each hookup will require water acquisition and sewer acquisition fees to be paid to the town?
Yes.
And that, I didn't see that in any of the writing, but...
Well, it's just part of the due process that, when someone comes in, each residential unit pays the full fee. I believe it's on the order of $3,000. I forget. But that is negotiated with the utility director. He sets the fees. He will not sign off on, the proposal without that understanding that those fees...
But there's been no side agreement, the lump sum fee.
No.
Each meter is going to pay the statutory required...
That's the way it works.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Benson?
Thank you. I have a question. I want to step back from it, and maybe I didn't quite understand, but I know that you had said, Jimmy, that the town has the control of providing the moving permit. So, in relation to that, in terms of providing the moving permit, is that where you just ascertain or ensure that the home being moved in, the manufactured home being moved in is post-dates 1975, from what I read in here, that it has a HUD seal, but no other inspection is done?
What the town does is it make sure that the manufactured unit has the HUD seal on it. And that assures a certain standard of wiring, certain standard of frame construction, certain standard of flooring, plumbing, etc. The town also looks to make sure that the mobile home is going to an area that's zoned to accept mobile homes. So we don't want a mobile home to be moved into a zone that's not suitable and then, just have a difficulty in having to move back out. We also have certain setback standards, so when an applicant comes to move a mobile home, they submit a sketch plat to show us how they are going to meet the setback requirements for the mobile home on their property. And the setback is not from the street edge necessarily, it's from the right-of-way edge, and people sometimes are confused about that. But many of the right-of-ways in town are much wider than the streets. And then we have a follow-up to ensure that the mobile home was put where it was said. In addition, there is a requirement to ensure that there is a meter for water, and there's a sewer connection. In many cases, a mobile home is just moving into a place where another one has been removed, and so it's just a matter of transfer. But in some cases, it's a new one, and so then the fees that are required are paid, and plumbers come in and tap into the water main or the sewer main, and they provide a service for that mobile home. It's not really any different than a new house.
I'd like to have one other question. You had mentioned that there's sufficient lighting, but I noticed in the preliminary plat that there's, which I have to appreciate the fact that they're actually doing everything fully shielded to meet dark sky requirements at full height, but there's only two.
Right.
And I know that I'll probably ask this again when the folks come up to present, is whether or not, given the approximate limits of the light projection, is going to be sufficient for security in that area and for walkability at night.
So what they did is they met the town standard, which was a light every 300 feet. In addition, we asked for a light at the intersection. We had a discussion with the engineers about who is going to install the light. But we consulted with P&M, and they said it was part of their franchise agreement to provide that service to install the light. Now, the intersection light will be on the city right-of-way, so in the end, it will be the city light. The other two lights in the mobile home park will belong to the rigs and will be for that park. I think that they have met the requirement. The issue of lighting is always tricky, trying to balance not too much, not too little, and I imagine that if their tenants are having trouble, they're going to address that issue, but you can ask them that. But they have met the standard.
Any other questions for staff? Mr. Rigg, please present your case.
I'll be speaking on behalf of, I'll give the presentation on behalf of the RIGS, and then he can also say what he would like to say. I'm here with Tracy Weber. We have Weber Engineering, we're married, and the RIGS, Dwayne and Lisa, and they're the owners. I brought this, but we also have but if the light's on, it may not show up that well, so I just wasn't sure how it was best to show it to you. But if you have questions, please stop me and I can maybe bring it closer to you or something like that. size is 2.86 acres, and we have 16 residences with 1 existing and 15 new. The 1 existing is over here. And then the 15 new would be in the labs as designated, and you probably have that information in your packets as well. We looked at a lot of different issues when we're laying this out and providing the information to the town. The first I'll address is traffic. We looked at how much traffic we would be generating at the site, because we needed to know whether we should provide any turn lanes or something of that nature. But we looked at the existing traffic on 32nd bypass, and there's over 5,000 vehicles per day. Average daily traffic is 55-25, and it's classified as a minor arterial, so it has a lot of traffic on it already. But based on the calculations that we did, we actually used Dwayne Gray at Engineers Inc. He's a traffic engineer, so he did that report for us. He projected entering traffic during the morning peak would be 3 cars and exiting would be 6, and the peak hour is usually between 7:30 and 8:30 in that period for this road. And the PM peak, which is a little earlier than most cities, ours is usually from 3:30 to 4:30, would be 7 entering the park and 4 exiting the park. So compared to the traffic that was already on 32nd Street bypass, we were affecting it very little. It didn't require turn lanes because of the low vehicles per hour for those turning in movements, and the cutoff, before you start looking at how much traffic is in a lane, the cutoff is 5 vehicles per hour. So we were meeting that turning movement requirement where we didn't have to put a turn lane in. So we examined the traffic. The next thing we looked at in the pile of reports that Jamie has is the utilities. We're providing a new 6-inch ductile water line, which is specified by the town. So right here. Up to 32nd Street is where we'd be tying in. There's an existing 16-inch water line near 32nd in the intersection with our road. We looked at how much, we looked at how much demand we place on the system with 16 residences, and we have to look at a peak, kind of a peak projection. So if everyone had their water faucets on and, just pulling as much water as they could possibly pull in the house, we only dropped the pressure at the critical nodes in the area, which would be mostly fire hydrants. We only dropped the pressure about less than 1 psi actually, so it affected the system in that area very little because there's so much water looping already in place that the city has. A lot of their water lines already all tied together, which helps the flow. So we affected that very little. We'll be placing 2 new fire hydrants, here and one here. In the site for fire protection, and as Mr. Scarron mentioned, we'd have individual meters for the homes. The sewer line, new 8-inch PVC, which is the minimum size required by the town, and it's certainly adequate for this amount of homes. It ties into the existing 10-inch PVC line that's already on the property. So right through there's an existing water line that was put in sewer line that was put in a few years ago, and that sewer line was actually sized for future development, so it's pretty large for the number of homes that are currently tied into it. There's an easement in the property already that sewer line lies in. We looked at how much sewer we'd be generating just to make sure that line could handle it. And again, we have to look at peak projections. So when we do the peak, that's 4 times the daily average. So again, when everybody's flushing and showering and using all their water in the house at the very same time. And we looked at the sewer line all the way down to 180. It ties in near the Shell station at Highway 180. And we raised the flow in the pipe by less than 1/4 of an inch because the pipe is sized to handle future flows. So we had very little impact on that as well. The shaded areas that you'll see on your drawings and on here, I'll point them out. Here, and here, and the south side. Those all indicate either existing easements or easements that will be dedicated with this project. So there will be easements along the south side for the power, and then the cable TV and the telephone all run with the power lines, and on the north side as well, and then the utilities would be in the street, and that little gap that Mr. Scavron was mentioning is just right there, and I'll shade it in on the final drawings. Another area that we have to address when we do a project like this is drainage. That's a big deal. We're required to hold back the water that flows off the site to the pre-development runoff rates. So when you develop a site, you add a lot more impermeable surfaces, and when the rain falls, it just runs off quicker. So you have to make up for that gap by providing some way to hold it back. So we have two detention ponds on the site. And here, and here. And those are sized properly so that they capture that extra flow and hold it back, and there's culverts coming out of those ponds that release it at the pre-development rate. So the water's running off at the same rate it is right now, but it's holding back the extra. So those detention ponds don't hold water very long. They just release it at the pre-development flow, and the drainage requirements of the town's drainage requirements state that the water has to be drained out within 36 hours, but these ponds are not that big, so they would drain out in less than an hour. So they don't hold water. When people think of a pond, they think of water sitting there, but they just release it at the pre-development rate. We have a few small detention ponds in landscaping. Just to hold back a little bit of water for the landscaping, so it reduces the water requirements a little, and just helps it percolate back into the soil in that area. Along with the drainage, this site has some floodplain requirements that we have to meet. There's a floodway here, and there's a 100-year floodplain here. So the floodway, we can't do any construction in that. We can't change the topography of that at all. That has to remain in its current condition so that it can handle the normal water runoff that comes through that area. The 100-year floodplain, we can't bring in any additional fill, and then the soil that Jamie was talking about earlier, and there's some piles of dirt that the previous owner had placed out there. This area over here, and we're going to just spread that out. We can't move any more of it into the 100-year, but we're just going to spread out what's there. So in the 100-year floodplain, we don't change the capacity of it by bringing in any additional fill in that area. There will be 5 homes that are either partially or fully in that 100-year floodplain, and the requirements for those homes are that they are permanently founded, so they have that secure foundation, and the finished floor elevation has to be 1 foot above the base flood elevation, which is pretty easy to do with a mobile home because you put them on the blocks and they're with the skirting, and so it's easy to get them above that base flood elevation. The other remaining mobile homes in the park would also be skirted, but they don't have to be permanently tied down like the ones in the floodplain do. Along with drainage, we also have to address erosion during construction, and there's a program called NPDES, National Pollution Discharge Elimination System. And it's a national program that addresses construction and silt migration and runoff and dirt getting into our waterways, basically. So if your project is over an acre, that you're disturbing more than an acre, you have to provide what's called a SWIP plan, and SWIP stands for Stormwater Pollution Prevention Plan. So contractors have to comply with those rules. So as the raise would get a contractor to do their dirt work, he would then have his SWIP plan in place, and that requires that the black silt fences that you see along highway projects, or those things that look like worms, they're straw, they're called wattles, or they're straw, what's the other word for them? They're straw. They capture the soil migration. So it keeps your soil from running off your site and getting into the waterways. And as the soil, if we got a heavy rain during this project, say, and the soil builds up against the silt fence or the straw, then the contractor has to come in and push it back and clean it out and keep that protection there so that the soil doesn't migrate. and that's part of the drainage also. The other utilities we've coordinated with gas, the cable TV, telephone, and power preliminarily to get them on board with the project and make sure that they have the facilities in place, and they do. The existing power line that's on the site runs through here, and then down here, and it will remain where it's at. We were able to work around it so that we didn't have to move it, and it provides service to the west side of the creek also. Just the layout in general, the mobile homes that we put on the plan, we weren't sure what size they'd be using, so we went with a 16 by 80, which is a larger single wide, and then on the couple of lots that have double wides, we used 28 by 52, just to make sure that if they did go, just to use the larger unit, just to make sure we had enough space. The town requires that we have 15 feet between the homes, and we put 16 between the porch and the next house. So between the houses, there's really about 24 feet typically. Some of them are spaced a little bit differently, but that's the typical spacing. Initially, we put 2 off-street parking spaces at each home, which is a requirement, but the Planning and Zoning Commission had some questions about parking, where would guests park, or if you had a party, where would people park? So we moved on this display, we moved the homes back a little bit away from the street, and we saw that we were able to get a couple of more vehicles parked at each spot. So we had one on each side of the house, here and here. And then people could park parallel along the street also. So theoretically, you could get 4 at each home. As Jamie mentioned, we have a little bit over 20% of the area as open space or open space/recreation, and 15% is required. And the setbacks, we went the setback requirements. 20 feet is required on the 32nd Street side, and 10 feet is required along the south boundary. The west side, the property extends over to here, but the creek is coming through there. So a lot of some of their property is on the other side of the creek, so it just creates kind of a nice open space buffer. All that vegetation and greenery will remain, so it creates a nice buffer and a nice wooded field down there. The street section will have 5-foot sidewalks on each side of the street. We are going to recommend that they're 6 inches thick, since they'll be mountable curbs so that they can drive over the sidewalk to get into their homes, but that just creates more durability for the concrete. So if you have 4-inch sidewalks, you're more likely to break them, especially pulling them over them. So we recommend the 6 inches. Mountable curb, which is the drivable curb, and 22 feet of pavement, but if you go up to the flow line of the curb, it really gives you about 24.5 feet in the street. We talked about having no parking on the street, since we'll have the vehicles needing to get in and out of the homes themselves. And also at the planning and zoning meeting, we talked about striking the cul-de-sac, painting the curb red as a fire lane, so that if a fire engine did need to come and turn around in there, that there wouldn't be vehicles parked in that area. We'll have garbage pickup at each house, and we have a mailbox unit located up here in that area. The landscaping, we recommended roughly plants from the town's approved planting list, which are low water use plants along the north side. On the south side, in lieu of the landscaping, we are placing a 6-foot high privacy fence. The maximum lot area across the lots is 5%, and which meets the town's requirement. And the existing site itself seems pretty flat, but up at this area, it's a little more sloped, and down at the bottom, it's a lot flatter. So we've just worked with those grades to kind of step it down to make it work to meet the town's maximum grade requirements. At the planning and zoning meeting, we mentioned that each house would have a small enclosed yard, and we were talking about putting some coarser gravel right behind the sidewalk where people would park, and then he was considering maybe wood chips or other material to stabilize the soil. Also because they will own the homes, they are, it's to their benefit to make it nice and keep it nice because they're responsible for the maintenance of the home. So that's why we were talking about the surfaces where mud would be trapped into the house, so, that would just get real gooey and yucky at the site. So it's, as owners of the homes, not just renting the spaces, but as owners of the homes, it's really to their benefit also to keep it nice. And I think that's all that I can think of to cover, so if you have questions.
Any questions? Councilor Bedison?
Thank you, Mayor. So I'm going to go back to a question I asked earlier about whether or not the 2 lights are sufficient for, I know that it meets the town standards, but in terms of the rigs and stuff, whether or not that would meet the standards, in terms of security. And if your residents decided to say something about that, if they would be willing to put in additional lighting if they feel that it's not adequate enough.
Initially, we looked at putting different kinds of lights or more frequent lights, but we were kind of weighing at what point it gets annoying when there's just that many lights in your neighborhood, and so we ended up just going with the 2, one at each end, but Mr. Ring could probably address the future potential lighting question.
Yes, we wouldn't have a problem if the park needs it. We would definitely do that. We want it to be safe for everybody.
And since I have...
We won't know until it's done.
Right.
Most of the people don't want any lights, and so...
No, it's true, and they don't, but I would say that right now the plan is to use, low height lights that, meet the standards for dark skies. So it still would, even if you had additional, would still be meeting those standards, I would presume.
I'm sure we can plan, so if we have to add them in the future, we'll already have the infrastructure there.
Okay, and then, don't make, it goes to both of you. You had mentioned that during the planning and zoning meeting, there were questions about where would people park if they're visitors, and so you had moved the homes back, correct, to provide additional space. One of the things also, though, in Silver City is ordinance, or you can't have vehicles parked on the sidewalk, or you can't do it in such a way that it prevents or creates a problem for those that have to use sidewalks. I'm hoping that the fact that there's no parking on the street would not mean that all the sidewalks would be compromised by vehicles when people are visiting, and somehow curtailing the walkability that you've already included in here. Especially for, we're talking about this being available to parents, so you're going to have, young families with strollers, you could have children and adults with disabilities, and so making sure those sidewalks are clear so that those individuals don't have to go out into the street to move around. That's one of the concerns that I kind of thought when you kind of squeezed in the 2 extra cars there. So, I guess I just want to have you address that, making sure that it's not just the no parking along the road, but you can't obstruct the sidewalk.
Yes.
Parking sign?
Yeah, we can,
No
that
parking
can
on
be
sidewalk?
part of our bylaws too for the mobile home park. But it is just a park though, it's not a street where random people are gonna be walking through. It's just 15 families right there in a small area. I understand what you're saying, but it's we can put that in the bylaws if that's what you want, but it's not like there's going to be more than lots of people there. It's just 15 families.
I understand that, but I think what I'm saying is there's already been an emphasis on the fact that this will provide accessibility for families that need housing that's affordable, and they may not necessarily, have to use a vehicle, that they could walk to, some of the businesses that are nearby. They can walk to, the Altamont fields. That there's the potential for that, even though there may not be sidewalks along 32nd Street yet, there's a plan someday to have that. It's just that, whether it's only 15 families and each one has 4 children, or they each have 2 children, there's just still a sense that you can't obstruct sidewalks, and that's what I'm addressing, because this would then still be something that could be a potential problem.
Well, we can put that in the bylaws if that's something that you want put in there.
I'm not sure if that's something that we can address.
A quick follow-up question, if I may. When you're saying those 4 spots are available, those 4 spots are large enough for a large vehicle to be on that without intruding onto the sidewalk, correct?
I should have put a dimension on here so I could refer to it, but the width of those 2 right here, and those 2, the width is wider than a normal parking space, so you'd be able to get off, and that's the distance behind the sidewalk to the house. So you'd have room to get off the sidewalk and behind it, but we'll include no parking on street sign, but we could also see if there's one that says street on sidewalk, or, just some sort of verbiage in there that is a visible sign to people to not park on the sidewalk as well.
Thank you. I just, if you would properly enhance it a little bit and make it better for your residents. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Councilor Emmett Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Rick, maybe you would come back to the podium. Yeah, just get it all done now. Why not? So, Mr. Rick, you're going to purchase units in the Nymph now. That's the intent of this. And you said something about the bylaws. So you've been working on some sort of community bylaws?
We have started. I don't have anything set in stone yet. We're just trying to get through all of this first.
Well, I certainly imagine. Are there any criteria or limitations that you plan to impose in terms of choosing prospective tenants?
Well, I don't have that in place. I mean, we have 2 rentals now, and we just like any other renter would do. I don't know if we just look to see if they have the income to pay the rent, and we have criteria of pets and things like that we do. But as long as they can qualify, then we do a background check. Things like that, just what normal renters do.
But your intention isn't to have like a 55 and older only community. You're looking for families?
Yes, I'm doing the 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes because there's not enough in Silver City. That's what Silver's lacking, is the 3 bedrooms. Everything's smaller. And so for the families, 55 and older, the older folks probably don't need that big of a home, but the families do.
So you've actually touched on another question that I had. And let me just preface this by saying one of the neighbors expressed concern that you had an intention of buying repossessed and whatever you could find mobile homes that would result in what he termed an unsightly blemish that would be ugly and offensive to Silver City residents and visitors. I do have to say a number of my constituents have contacted me to express some more concerns that there not be an eyesore up there. So do you have some criteria that you're going to be using to choose the manufactured housing? You just said 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Is that for a certain number of units or all of them?
All of them. I want all of them to be a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. That's how we designed the park, to be able to fit that size of a home.
Okay, so that's good, thank you. I think I have a couple of other questions, though. I noticed in the slide that you put up, Mr. that the facility, the home that's currently there, seemed to have a propane tank.
It does, but it will be on the city. We'll convert that to all the city utilities, too.
Okay, so all of these homes are going to be they're going to have gas and electricity and stuff like that. This is just a question. Do you plan on any kind of energy efficiency usage or upgrades on these units? Given that if they do have older things, often the insulation in those things is about this big.
Oh, sure. Well, we definitely want the mobile homes to be nice. I can't afford to put this park in if I don't put top quality mobile homes, manufactured homes in. Like she said, I live across the street from the property, and I'll be driving by it every day, 3 or 4 times a day, and I definitely want nice homes there. Everybody thinks a mobile home park is just a junky thing, you know. People that put in new mobile home parks can't afford to put in junky trailers. It doesn't work that way. Just the cost of it, it's just not cost effective to put in a mobile home that you can't rent because it's too old and it's not fixed up. I have a carpet store here in town, and I go into a rental every day, and I know the need for rentals, nice rentals, because I see the ones that people are living in, and it's really bad.
So you do have some criteria in your head.
Yeah, so definitely. Definitely has to be nice. That's the only way we're going to do it. It's going to definitely be nice. If it's not a brand new home, I researched trying to buy new homes, but it's one of those things, the newer homes, some of the, I'm not saying older models, but the later models are actually built better than the newer models now. You can actually remodel them better. What they're constructed of is better. The flooring, the 2x4s, you know, they're actually constructed better than the newer homes. You know, buying a brand new home, just because it's brand new doesn't mean that it's good. You know, it's going to last and it's going to stay. So we definitely, that's our whole idea, is to make a nice park for people.
That's very encouraging. Thank you. One, I think, maybe only one more question.
Okay.
And that is, in your presentation, Ms. Lembeck, you said that you're going to keep the unit that's still there, the pretty large double wide that's still there, and you said that it was going to be for the site manager. Do you plan to have it professionally managed and maintained, or is your plan to do so yourself?
I hope to have a site manager on site to you know, address the needs and collect the rents and, you know, watch over things. Just somebody there that's watching, making sure they're not parking on the sidewalks and things like that.
Because I just want to I have to admit, I did some research on this mobile home or manufactured home stuff. That seems to be a huge factor in whether or not it remains safe and kind of accessible and pleasant to be, is if there's a qualified, strong site manager on site.
And like I said, I drive by that property 5-6 times a day. We live right across the street from it. So we're going to be very involved with it. It's my life savings.
Well, according to the data I saw, you can get a pretty good return on this after a while. In fact, pretty quickly. So financially, for the developer, it seems to be a pretty savvy move. But I just wanted to know about the overall benefits to your planned community and to the town also.
Well, we've lived in Silver for 26 years, so we have a business here that we've had for 26 years, so we plan on being here a long time, hopefully.
All right, thank you. That's all, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions? Any witnesses in support of applicant's case? Any questions? Council.
Mr. Rick, just a quick question. Is your development, the infrastructure, will that be staged, phases, or will everything be done before you start moving houses onto the lots?
Everything will be done before we can move even one house on there. It has to be completed,
So there won't
as
be
far as
any...
I understand.
Peter's shaking his head some way at it, up and down or diagonal. My
The
question...
town won't issue any moving permits until all the infrastructure has been constructed, and whatever the town is going to own, which would be the sewer and the water, has been accepted, and all of the reports on the construction of the streets and the sidewalks, all the utilities are signed off. Until that's happened, the town won't issue moving permits.
That's wrong. Thank you.
And they won't turn on the water either, except for, you know, construction purposes.
Any other questions from the hearing board?
No, sir.
Mr. Rigg, does this conclude your case in chief?
Yes, sir.
Please remain available to be further questioned by the hearing board staff or by opponents of this application. Any witnesses in opposition to this case? Mr. Riggs, is there anything else you wish to be reflected in the record?
No, sir.
Can I have one other thing reflected? Just something that Peter Penny was talking about earlier, and Alex, that the cost of paving and the cost of construction, the cost of streets, concrete in the last few years has gone up, paving has really gone up. So something I was thinking of as you were asking Mr. Rick the questions is that the investment he's making is very large, and so just even a cost of the street this long is pretty expensive. So on top of the utilities and the permits and the grading, it's a large investment for them. So it's really to their benefit to make it have a return, and in order to do that, it has to be nice. So I just kind of wanted to throw that out there too, as a balance to the income generated is also a huge investment for the developer.
Councilor Benson.
Thank you, Mayor. I actually have a question for staff. Thank you. Ms. Emmergut, the question to me is, when we do this, does the town town council have to use all findings, or can we select from those that were on the list that you had provided?
It will need to meet all of them.
So you had read them into the record already, so...
I can put them back up if you'd like again.
I know I won't be the one making the motion. It's not my district. I think it's Councilor Canos. No, it's Councilor Reyes. So, I guess a question to Robert, it's kind of on to council. So, rather than having to read them all into the record again,
The application and the staff report, just by their presentation here, become part of the full record. And when a reference is made to the municipal code or the land use code, it's as if the entire section is incorporated into the record. So no, they do not have to read it again unless you don't have it available to you and you want to be refreshed. But for legal purposes, it's already in the record.
Okay, and also I think you made mention earlier, I just want to make sure that there's some easement that's missing, so that you think that should be placed in the motion as well?
That will be resolved in the final plat. It was just a matter of bringing it up now and I had already discussed this with Peter, and they're aware that there was an oversight. There's just, the easement has to come up to meet the 32nd Street right-of-way in order for there to be a tap into the main pipe. So that's going to be resolved. Some of the other questions that I asked was more for just educating everybody as to some facts that I knew that had not been necessarily brought out. For instance, there's a stop sign at the intersection, and I wanted to make sure that had been considered the safety of making a left turn coming out of there. And I actually called the chief of police, and he has visited the site and said that there is ample visibility left and right, and that's not a problem. And there will be a stop sign there. So just to make this, this presentation is very transparent. Everybody in the town has been involved, and I have checked with each one, and everybody's done their job. So you should be comfortable with this presentation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Does any member of this hearing board have any questions for any witnesses? Is the hearing board prepared to consider this application and render its decision?
Yes, sir. Yes.
How does the hearing board decide? Councilor Ray.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Riggs, thank you for the in-depth presentation. I know you were drilled by these people here, and it was very interesting. I applaud you for that. With that said, I move to approve SD 14-01, a request for a preliminary plat approval to allow a new manufactured home park to be created at 2180 32nd Street Bypass. The applicant is Dwayne Rigg of Rigg's Property LLC, the property owner.
That's what you state that all findings.
No, I don't believe so.
I second the motion as stated. Do we need to state in the motion that for all findings? Or not?
You can adopt the staff's findings.
Okay.
Adopt the staff finding.
Okay, I second the motion as stated.
Okay. There is a motion and a second for approval of number SD 14-01, a request for a preliminary plat approval to allow a new manufactured home park to be created at 2180 32nd Street Bypass. The applicant is Dwayne Rigg of Rigg Properties LLC, the property owner, adopting all findings by staff. Is there any further discussion?
No, sir.
Roll call.
Counselor Ray?
Aye.
Counselor Bedison?
Aye.
Counselor Amon Smith?
Aye.
Counselor Khan?
Aye.
Motion passes. This public hearing is concluded. Councilor Bedison?
Mr. Mayor, I move for a short break.
We have a motion and a second for a short break. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are in recess. I'll call this meeting back to order. Next item on the agenda is unfinished business. Approval, disapproval of ordinance number 1227, ordinance permitting the donation and transfer of certain real property commonly known as the vacated portion of Chloride Street to Western New Mexico University, all pursuant to Chapter 48, Section 48-24 of the Town of Silver City Municipal Code. Peter?
Well, Mayor and Council, nobody's going to do it.
This is the second reading of the ordinance to transfer the vacated property on Chloride Street to Western New Mexico University. It'll be a government-to-government transfer requiring no payment from the university, but there are some specific requirements that if the purchase of the property adjacent to it does not go through, the property will revert back to the town, as well as they will be putting a master meter on the property that will take into account the meters that are there. I believe there's 3.
There are absolutely 3 meters in the street right away that basically serves as the entrance to the president's house or driveway, and also to the property that they're acquiring. If that is vacated, then the town has asked that a master meter go in on College Street so that the meter readers can read the bulk delivery of the water, and then the meters will remain in the vacated street for the university could remove them if they wanted to, or they could leave them there to just, if they have tenants in the different houses, just to keep track of how the water is used.
Councilor Medicine.
So, thank you, Mayor. Peter, Mr. Russell, for some reason, I'm now thinking, I didn't realize that it was, the master meter was located in College Street. I thought it was supposed to be located along 11th.
No.
10th, excuse me, because they were closer.
There's a water main that runs up 10th, excuse me. There's a water main that runs up College Street, and so the Utilities Director, Robert Escada, looked at it, and so did Chris McNeil, who's the meters reader, and they settled on a site on College Street. It would be, there's I think it's called a verge between the sidewalk and I think the wall, actually, where the meter would be located, and then it would just be hooked in, and the town would sell water in bulk in that case.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Entertain a motion?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilor Raymond Smith.
I move to approve ordinance number 1227, an ordinance permitting the donation and transfer of certain real property, commonly known as the vacated portion of Chloride Street, to Western New Mexico University, all pursuant to Chapter 48, Section 4824 of the Town of Silver City Municipal Code. Mr. Mayor, I second the motion as stated.
We have a motion and a second for approval of ordinance number 1227, ordinance permitting the donation and transfer of certain real property commonly known as the vacated portion of Chloride Street to Western New Mexico University, all pursuant to Chapter 48, Sections 48-22 of the Town of Silver City Municipal Code. Is there any further discussion?
No, sir.
As you recall, in the vacation, there was a reversion clause. The university is going to purchase the property to the west of them, but the reversion clause was that if the purchase of the property did not go through, then the property would be reverted back to the town so that access to that property would be maintained. Just wanted to remind you.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. Councilor Bedison.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Russell, that's actually in the ordinance.
I know, but the audience doesn't know that.
I thought, actually, Mr. Brown had already stated that.
I'm sorry, then, in the confusion of who was to speak, I must have missed that.
It's too late. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
We have a motion and a second, as stated in the record. Roll call.
Councilor Raymond Smith. Aye. Councilor Ray.
Aye.
Councilor Connell. Aye. Councilor Bedison.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is under new business, approval, disapproval of public celebration permit application for an event and bike run during the Blues Festival on Polk Street at College Avenue near Q's Southern Bistro on May 23rd, 24th, 25th of 2014 from 12 noon to 11 p.m. Sponsor Jose A. Ray Jr., liquor license holder, Q Southern Bistro LLC, doing business as Branding Iron Brewing Company, license number 67025, 101 East College Avenue, Silver City, New Mexico, 88061. Councilor Ray.
Mr. Mayor. Thank you. I know that I'm going to be the sponsor, but I am asking to be recused from it, and I will not partake in the discussion or vote.
Thank you, Councilor Ray. Mr. Quintana?
Which one?
The one willing to speak.
Both of us. I'll talk. Yes, sir. Well, what we're planning is kind of a conjunction with the Regional Arts Council. Ourselves, it's going to be our 5-year anniversary that we've been down there, and then as well as the bike runs. So we kind of all got together with, again, the Arts Council, ourselves, and then Mr. Hooray, we got together for putting together a bike run. So with our brewer's license, we're allowed to be serving our beer and other New Mexico microbrewed beer that we will be having down there for a Memorial Day weekend celebration. So we're asking if we could close down the streets, not College, just Pope. And do you guys have these diagrams? So if you look at the diagram, basically, we're trying to close off both sides of the street in order to set up staging and have live music on Saturday, which would take place pretty much all day from during the, well, as soon as the Blues Festival starts, that's when we would start our music as well, and go with the night, and we're planning our events in conjunction with the Arts Council as well.
Councilor Benson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, you just said that the music would begin on Saturday, and my question is to the fact that you requested Friday, May 23rd, for 12 noon to 11 p.m.
Yeah,
And I wanted to know if you had considered the businesses that'll still be open, including LiveQuest. I mean, will you be serving and/or playing music that early?
No, I guess what it was is just that we have a lot of setting up to do, so it doesn't necessarily have to be closed at noon, the road or anything like that. It's just so that way we can set up all the fencing, the staging, the porta potties, basically all the tables, the chairs, and all that stuff that is going to be set on the street, just because we don't know how many bikers that will be coming, but usually when we have had these events in the past, whether it's in conjunction with ourselves or the university, we usually get anywhere between 300 or 400 people that show up. I think the biggest one that we had was when we had Tobias Renee down there, and that was like 700 and some people that went downtown and were there at our event. So it's just a lot of organizing and making sure that we have everything up and the emergency exits in the right places and stuff like that, just so that way it's organized and just a well-planned event. It doesn't have to be closed at noon, though. I mean, obviously, like you said, you have LiveQuest, you have CASA, and then you have all the businesses, Comcast, and all the other gas stations. I guess it was just, I didn't realize I put it at 12.
Actually, because what you're requesting is a public celebration permit that's actually going to go from 12 noon to 11 p.m. each day, which means the ability to serve liquor in that area. Not liquor, but the beer in that area. So if the intent is to work with the town simply to prepare the street, I don't think it needs to be on here that you would be closed, that you would begin at 12 noon on Friday to begin serving the beer. So I guess what I'm trying to do is make a distinction between the actual service and things like that versus working directly with the town to close the street down and making sure that your neighbors understand that. Because I think, if anything right now, the implication from the way it was written is that you will begin serving at 12 noon on Friday.
It was more for Saturday than it was for actually Friday. The registrations for the bike run doesn't start until 5 p.m. So in all reality, we're not having anything going outside besides the setting up of the fencing. There won't be any alcohol served on Friday outside on the street, just Saturday and Sunday. And it would actually probably not go till 11 p.m. on Sunday because the Blues Festival ends probably like around, I think it's around 3 or 4 on that day, 6. So even at that, we'd be ending all of our events at the same time as the Blues Festival.
Thank you. So with that, I'm going to recommend to whoever makes the motion that we state that there can't be any serving until 5 on Friday at the earliest.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that. I didn't realize that we put...
And I don't know, if a correction can be made to the form even, Robert?
My thinking is that it would be easier for you at this point to amend your request, and because, as the councilor pointed out, a public celebration permit is not the same thing as closing streets and asking for permission to modify the town's behavior. All you're asking for is the ability to serve alcohol, and I think that what the council is asking for is that you do not begin serving alcohol before 5 o'clock on Friday, and that you terminate the service of alcohol at a time equal to when the Blues Festival closes, which would be 10 p.m. on Sunday.
Absolutely.
So would you
Is that... Yes.
I'd like you to state that you'd like that your application to be modified
So that that you're asking for a public celebration permit commencing at 5 o'clock on the 23rd, terminating at 10 o'clock on the, 25th?
Okay, so do I just say on May 23rd, 5 o'clock, we will start serving alcohol, and then it will end on the May 25th, no later than 10 p.m.?
Correct.
Okay.
Thanks. Council President.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think that since we have the original paperwork, can it not be modified at this point? On the paperwork as well, rather than just in the...
I mean, we could write it on there and then just put our initials.
We can do that, but the record serves, the record trumps the paper.
The record trumps the paper, even though, we'll give them a permit that will allow them to...
Well, we have to send this up to the state, is that correct, after this hearing? So, yeah, that would be a good idea. Do we have the original somewhere?
The original paperwork should be here, because, the mayor has it. Okay. So, may I recommend that be done, so then we don't have to add it into the... Thank you. And, I do have one more comment I just wanted to state for the record, if I could, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. I am pleased to see that the sidewalk along Life Quest will be open this year. I know that was, because we have to ensure that individuals walking between the park and downtown can have a sidewalk, especially if they have mobility issues. So I appreciate the fact that that was considered, because I know that was a bit of a problem last year.
It was 2 years. 2 years ago, that was the last time we were having to let, because there was people that were coming down from the Blues Festival that were trying to go downtown, and what we ended up having to do was letting them go through the restaurant, then go out the patio, and then through the other side door, so it was just kind of even, a liability for us as well, just because we didn't know if people had come from our place, if they would have tripped, if they would have fell, so we just left the sidewalk open on this one, and we will have, adequate security, obviously, with us serving alcohol. This is the first time that we'll be pulling a permit, such as this for the business down there, and what we're really trying to do is just even showcase, our beer that we're brewing down there and get the town a little bit familiar with what we're doing, and we're just pretty proud. It's been 5 years, and I still remember when I was here just asking to get the license and stuff for down there at Q's, and I appreciate all the support from the town and everything. It's been pretty cool.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Cano.
Just a quick question, Mr. Quintana. Looking at the employee servers permit list that you provided, the second to the last name is an individual whose birthday is listed as sometime during this year, and they were born in '94, so that means they won't be 21 by the time this happens. So is there anything you can do to remove them possibly, because...
They don't have to be 21 in order to serve alcohol in the state of Mexico, so they have to be 19.
Mr. Scabron, could you address this, please?
Am I talking too loud, or?
No, Mr. Quintana said that you only have to be 19 to be a server, so I'm just checking with you.
It is.
Okay.
19?
Yeah, you don't have to be 19. It's just because we're a restaurant, and even for an establishment like this, they offer server's license to people that are 19 years old. You can't be in a bar setting. You wouldn't be able to work at like the Flame, or you wouldn't be able to work at the Buffalo Bar. But since it is a restaurant, there is food available. You will be able to be 19. And this is just a list of all the workers that we're having. They're not necessarily going to be in the area that's 21 and over. All the people that we have there are just are going to be, obviously, I'm going to be working in the beer garden, and then a couple other of our servers that are 21 plus, but just in case he does have to go in that area to pick up glasses or whatever it is, he is alcohol certified.
Thank you for answering that. Congratulations on your 5-year.
Thanks. Is there any other questions, or do you guys want to know what bands are playing?
Any other questions? Yes.
Any other discussion?
No, sir.
I'll entertain a motion. You can say wait. We can sit here for a while. And it is my understanding that we are just changing the time periods that this permit is going to be allowed for. From 5 on Friday
5 p.m. on Friday to,
to
you said,
10.
rather than 10 p.m. on Sunday.
on Sunday.
And we talked to the people from LifeQuest too, so they are aware that we are blocking off the streets there, and they gave us permission to be using the parking lots and stuff like that too, so I always try to make sure that with all the neighbors that are around us that we go and we let them know what we're doing, just because the first year we didn't do it, and we kind of ruffled a lot of people's feathers when it came to not letting them know, and we just kind of did it. And yeah, so it's, you learn as you go.
And it is my perspective that the only modifications to any motion is just those 2 time periods in there. Otherwise,
Because in the way the form is set out, it can be a little bit confusing because it doesn't indicate a break. Wait, you can hear me, right? All right, I'll go over here. So in the amended application, it states because each day is a little bit different. May 23rd, 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. That's Friday. Saturday, 12 p.m. to 11 p.m. Right? That's for Saturday night to 11. And then on the final day, on Sunday, it's 12 p.m. to 10 p.m. to coincide with the closing of the Blues Festival. Mr. Quintana has initialed off on it, and I think it should be good to go.
Councilor Kano?
Mr. Mayor, I would move to approve the public celebration permit application for an event and bike run during the Blues Festival on Pope Street at College Avenue near Q's Southern Bistro on May 23rd, 24th, 25th, 2014, as amended to begin at from 5 o'clock to 11 o'clock on Friday the 23rd, from 12 noon to 11 o'clock on the 24th, and 12 noon to 10 p.m. on the 25th. The sponsor is Joe A. Ray Jr., liquor license holder, Q Southern Bistro, LLC, doing business as Browning Iron Brewing Company, license number 67025, 101 East College Avenue, Silver City, New Mexico, 88061.
Mr. Mayor, I second the motion as stated.
We have a motion and a second for approval of celebration permit application for an event and bike run during the Blues Festival on Pope Street at College Avenue near Q's Southern Bistro on May 23rd, 24th, 25th, 2014, as amended from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. Friday the 23rd, 12 noon to 11 p.m. on the 24th, and 12 p.m. to 10 p.m. on the 25th. Sponsor Jose A. Ray Jr., liquor license holder, Q Southern Bistro LLC, doing business as Branding Iron Brewing Company, license number 67025, 101 East College Avenue, Silver City, New Mexico, 88061. Is there any further discussion?
No, sir.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you guys so much, I appreciate it.
Thank you. And thank you for your patience. Next item on the agenda is approval, disapproval of resolution number 2014-17, a resolution of the Town Council of Silver City, New Mexico, authorizing the submission of a New Mexico Community Development Block Grant program application to the Department of Finance and Administration, Local Government Division, and authorizing the town manager as Town of Silver City's authorized representative to act in all matters pertaining to the Town of Silver City's participation in the Community Development Block Grant Program. Peter?
Mayor, This resolution will authorize the submission of an application to the CDBG program for 2014-2015 funding. We have had 4 public meetings. We didn't have a lot of response to those, or people come into those meetings, but we do have a project that we'd like to move forward with. What we'd like to do is we'd like to continue our work that we've been doing up in the Chihuahua Hill area. The streets that we're looking at is Sonora, Gila, Chihuahua, and Arizona. What we'd like to do there is we'd like to do paving, curb and gutter, sidewalk, ADA project within those street boundaries. Arizona Street would be from San Vicente up to Garcia. Chihuahua Street would be from Cooper to Arizona. Gila Street would be from Arizona to the dead end, which dead ends right below Cooper Street. And then Sonora, which we already did one of the blocks there in a past project, we would do from Pinos Altos to Arizona. That would be the project area that we're looking at with the submission of this application for CDBG funding.
Mayor, there is one change that we would like to propose to the resolution, and that would be to change the authorized official from the town manager to you as mayor, as the chief executive officer. So that would be in the title as well as in number 2. And the reason being is that under the form, the template that they give Peter, it lists the mayor. And because of the way that the state has been handling their grants these days, they are looking for any opportunity to weed out applications, and we don't want to be weeded out just because it says town manager rather than mayor. We want the application to be reviewed under the merits and not under some technicality that they've been trying to use under other different grant programs to eliminate other applicants under other grants. So we would just like it to read as the template did, with the mayor as the designated official.
These are areas that definitely need work, and I want a successful application, so I feel that would be a good modification for the council to consider. Is there any questions from the council? Councilor Bedison.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Brown, so the matching funds are already, they will be placed in the budget for next year to ensure that we have them available?
Well, they will be part of the new program that we're working on, as well as, we've started to do some work already. So yes, they will be taken care of and for sure designated and pulled and set aside once we are awarded the application.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Does the council understand where the 2 modifications need to be? One in the name and also under number 2, under the now therefore? Can I entertain a motion? Councilor Ray?
Thank you, Mayor. I will move to approve resolution number 2014-17, a resolution of the Town Council of Silver City, New Mexico, authorizing the submission of a New Mexico Community Development Block Grant Program application to the Department of Finance and Administration, Local Government Division, and authorizing the town manager as the Town of Silver City authorized representative to act in all matters pertaining to the Town of Silver City's participation in the Community Development Block Grant Program.
Mr. Mayor, before seconding the motion, I just want to state that it should say authorizing the mayor of the town of Silver City in the reading of item B and in the title of the actual resolution itself, as well as in under number 2, now therefore be it resolved. So, I'll second the motion if Councilor Ray will agree to those amendments.
And designates the town mayor as the town of Silver City's authorizing representative. Okay.
And also, under now therefore be it resolved, number 2, it should state authorizing, the town mayor, or the mayor as the town of Silver City.
Okay.
And my second motion is stated with those changes, those amendments.
We have a motion and a second for approval of resolution number 2014-17, a resolution of the Town of Silver City, New Mexico, authorizing the submission of a New Mexico Community Development Block Grant Program application to the Department of Finance and Administration, Local Government Division, and authorizing the mayor as the Town of Silver City's authorized representative to act in all matters pertaining to the Town of Silver City's participation in the Community Development Block Grant Program, amending the number 2 under the now therefore to read, the town council directs and designates the mayor as the Town of Silver City's authorized representative to act in all matters in connection with this application and the Town of Silver City's participation in the New Mexico Community Development Block Grant Program. And also that change in the title, amending it, changing the town manager to the mayor. Is there any discussion?
No, sir.
We have a motion and a second as read. Roll call.
Councilor Ray.
Aye.
Councilor Kano. Aye. Councilor Edison.
Aye.
Councilor Anderson.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is discussion and vote on whether to change the date of the regular council meeting scheduled for April 22nd, 2014 to April 21st, 2014.
Mr. Mayor, if I could.
Councilor Bedison.
Thank you. I am the one that requested this since I'll be out of town on April 22nd through the 27th, and my understanding is I notified the town early enough in case there be a public hearing scheduled for the 22nd, and I understand I think we might have one scheduled for the 21st. Is that correct? I know the town clerk we have the assistant town clerk here.
She
would know.
She actually wasn't supposed to be here, but
I know.
got sick, so she really wasn't brought up to date on those discussions.
Mayor and council, I know that there are no hearings from our department scheduled on that date.
It was just to make sure that in case there was sufficient notification that there would be at least one counselor gone on the 22nd. So I'm going to move to change the date of the regular town council meeting scheduled for April 22nd, 2014 to April 21st, 2014 in these chambers at 6 p.m.
Councilor Kano? We have a motion and a second to change our regularly scheduled meeting for April 22nd, 2014 at 6 p.m. in these chambers to April 21st, 2014 to be also in these chambers at 6 p.m. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Bedison.
I move to adjourn. I second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn this meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned.